What's up, peeps? My name's Iain. I read books, I collect books, I sell books on eBay, I do all sorts of things if you don't already know that. I've made a lot of videos on reselling books, but I want to get more into the sheer joy of reading and collecting books as well. So I started up an extra series on the channel, and this is episode 2. So we're into episode 2. Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you so much for watching and joining. I'm going to go through a bit of a book haul video today. Ideally I'll be doing one of these a week, but as I'm just getting into this, I'm going to run through everything that I've picked up just this month. Well, to be honest, it's a couple of books arrived just at the end of March, so I'm going to include them as well because they were a couple of absolute bangers, both of which I've read already. About 40 books this month, including those two, which is I'm not going to read 40 books a month. Why do I buy 40 books a month? But I want them. There's a few authors that I'm trying to collect complete sets of, so I'm picking them up. A lot I've already read. I'm just wanting complete sets, but also picking up an awful lot that I want to read, from getting recommendations off of BookTube, from viewers to the channel, and all sorts. So let's run through a few. First thing is, I've had 2 packages just delivered, so that's why I thought this would be a good time to do this now. So I'm going to pop them open first. I can't really remember what I've ordered offhand. I could go and have a wee nosy, but I'm not going to bother with that. So let's get into the first one. I've been trying out a few different sellers across Amazon and eBay just to see what their packaging's like, what the quality of their product's like compared to how they describe it. Buy the odd new book as well, but mostly it's usually second hand I'll pick up. And this one is, well, I think this was pitched as very good condition. I don't think, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I would sell that as good condition, but it is the second book in a series by Nicholas Eames. This is Bloody Rose. I do believe I've got the first one that I picked up a wee bit earlier in the month. Try to see where I sat it. Yes, there it is there. So these two. So I picked this up just to resell because I didn't know anything about it, and then I saw on the back, where was it? George Martin meets Terry Pratchett. I thought, I've got to have that. I have to have that and read it. So we've got Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose, the first 2 in that series, and I think that's as far as he's got at the moment. The next one's not due for a little bit yet. Really looking forward to getting into those. Probably next month I'll start on the first one and see how it goes. But yeah, bit of a banger so far. So that's the first 2 down. And nice sturdy packaging. I'd have preferred it to have been a wee bit wrapped and then the corners wouldn't get bashed, but what can you do? Next one. It's a big cardboard box. Now I think I know what this is. This is to add to a collection rather than ones that I want to get in and read. So we'll see if we can get into it with my trusty kitchen knife, which doubles as a palette knife and all sorts. It's old, so it's sharp. So it always seems to be. Let's see if we can open up the end of this. Yes, it is. There's a wee paperback on top. Let's grab that out first. So yeah, you can see straight away it's books people buy from charity shops. I haven't even taken the stickers off it. James A. Corey, Leviathan Awakes. So this is the Expanse series. I did watch it on Amazon and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was a bit lighter than I was expecting, to be honest, but I've heard so many great things about the books. Sticker's not coming off well. Mike's book reviews again. He seems to like a bit of James S.A. Corey, so I'm going to give that one a go. All of these I want to get reading very, very soon, but we'll see when we can get to that one. It's a big series behind it, so it's worth reading early, and then I know I've got plenty more to go, or I can ditch them if I don't enjoy it. But yeah, that's the next one out of that pack. So that's in the to read pile. Next should be 2 books just for the collection. Chuck that packaging over there, and I've just seen something that excites me ever so slightly. Let's check. Let's check. First edition, excellent. One for the John Connolly set, The Killing Kind. So I've got quite a few John Connollys, but I'm missing some of the early ones. So I saw them for like 350, 360 or whatever it was. And usually, you know, buy two, get 25% off your second kind of deal. So I thought, oh, that seems worthwhile. Let's give that a go. So I picked up The Killing Kind for like £3.50, first edition, very nice. So that's one for the collection. And The Black Angel. But as I've opened this up, it's got a signed by the author. So that's what I'm trying to actually get with the John Connolly ones. I want the signed by the author set. I've got quite a few already. Oh, signed by the author. So £3.50 or £3.60 for a signed by the author John Connolly book. Absolutely delighted with that. And that's me got kind of the first 5 in the series, then a couple of gaps and a few more, and etc, etc. So that's absolutely banging. Whilst I'm on John Connolly, I got a cable in the way. These are the other John Connolly books I've picked up in the last few weeks. Dark Hollow, so that was another of the early ones. So that's kind of completing that, the first 5, and then a few more, and they're all up there. And then also I found a wee paperback copy of Dark Hollow. I wouldn't have picked it up because it's in pretty tight condition, but it just had the wee signed copy on the front of it. So I thought, why the hell not? It's going to cost me pennies. So another wee scribbled one. So that's a kind of addition to that collection. So that's the John Connolly ones out of the way. If you like John Connolly, the new book comes out soon. I'm very excited. If you've never read them, give it a try. Gothic, horror, thrillers type things. Charlie Parker, absolutely brilliant. Moving on. Well, I haven't put my microphone back on. Let's just sort that now. Plonk. I hope that's in the right place and that everyone can hear me. If not, I'll find out when I go to have a wee edit at this and discover I need to do it all again. But here's home. Right. I say 2 reasons to buy books. First one is to buy books I want to read, and the second one is to add to collections. I had a huge collection of books and then used them to kind of get the eBay business tested and rolling to see if books worked. So now I'm getting them stocked back up. So the John Connolly ones I've shown you already. Try to get all of them, as many signed editions as possible. I think I've got 5 or 6 so far for the ones that I've got, so that's quite good. And the other authors I am picking up, well, let's start with one, Stephen King. So I've added a few to Stephen King this month. I've shown you a few of these already in the previous video, but we'll have a quick run through. I got a wee BCA copy of Black House quite recently. Don't really want the BCA ones, but I don't have it at all otherwise, so I thought I'd just add that in. I don't think I've actually read that one. There was a first one by them, wasn't there? What was it? I can't even remember. But I've read one of them, but I don't think it was that one. So I've got Black House to add to my Stephen King collection. I picked up a copy of If It Bleeds, Holly, which is another Stephen King book, much like The Stand, that I did not finish. DNF. I got bored with it. Although, I don't know, maybe I'll work out where I was and finish it off. It was an intriguing plot, but it was very, 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 very preachy. I can't be doing with preachy books. And also picked up in the local supermarket in their community bookstall 2 Stephen Kings, both first editions, Song of Susanna and The Dark Tower. I actually picked up a copy of this a good few days ago, and then I was in the other day and they had both of them again, so I've got one of them listed on eBay to sell as well. But both first copies, Songs of Susanna's Dark Towers series. So that was a nice wee 5-book add-on to the Stephen King selection. I think it's still only like 10% of the entire lot, but it fairly padded out the shelf I have behind me. Next author that I am trying to get the full set of in hardcover where possible is Mr. Terry Pratchett. So I found a copy of The Last Hero, big illustrated one there. I think it's a first. Yes, another wee first edition. So it wasn't his best book, but it was quite good fun. I remember reading it, but it being a right pain in the backside to read because of that. So you can usually chuck it in your pocket and read it on the bus type thing. It was one of them. Anyway, that's the Terry Pratchett that I picked up. Always on the lookout for those. I may start the paperback collection as well. I did pick up a wee first print of Interesting Times the other day, so I might just start racking these up too, because I see them every now and again. I see a bundle, I'm going to sell a bundle, but that one is pretty good nick. I haven't listed it yet. I might just keep that and add it to the Terry Pratchett collection. We shall see. And at the same time, I also found a wee one of the original paperbacks for Good Omens. Was this a wee firstie? No, it's a reprint, so I'll probably list that one up. But anyway, I'm thinking about that for the Terry Pratchett collection. The other author that I'm trying to get the full set of, and I haven't read all of this guy's books, but I've read quite a few of them, always enjoy them, they're always good thinkers, and that's Robert Harris. So we've got Imperium and Enigma. Enigma's not in great nick. I think it's an extra library book. Yeah, they even ripped out the front page, but I didn't have it, so it's a good place to start. It is a first edition, so I'll just be looking for an upgrade on that at some point. And Imperium is one of his Roman novels, which were excellent. I think this is possibly the first one. Yeah, could be. But one of his early books, so I'm just trying to get all Robert Harris in hardcover first editions as well. So those were picked up. These weren't very recent pickups, but I did get them in month, so that's why I'm talking about them just now. Right, next, books I bought to read. The first one, I was looking for a replacement for Mr. George Martin, because I'm fed up waiting for the next Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire book to come out. So I'd looked at a few recommendations, and one that kept popping up was Joe Abercrombie. So I'd picked up a copy of A Little Hatred. This was right at the end of last month. Started reading it pretty much straight away, because I'd been reading The Stand and was just utterly bored with it. So I stopped it about a little over a third of the way through, and picked up that and battered through it in a day. Absolutely brilliant, loved it. It's the first of a trilogy, so I've picked up the second one as well, so that I'm ready for it when I'm ready to go. And then I realised that this particular universe, although he's got various trilogies, there's a trilogy that comes before this, so I'm not going to read the second one of this. I'm going to go back and read the first three, and then come back to these when I get them there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It really was awfully good fun. And I also found the first two of yet another of his little trilogies, Half a King and Half the World. So there's another one to go in that. It's not going to tell me here what they are, is it? No, it's not. So, but I've got those two as well, so they're for some point in the not too distant. That would mean reading like 10 Joe Abercrombie books in a couple of months, which I may or may not do. I'll maybe spread them out over the course of the next year, but really looking forward to reading more of his stuff. It was really, really good. Charity shop pickups, 25 pence each. So with Robert Harris, so with Stephen King. Yeah, you know, charity shop or Tesco community bookstall. So yeah, that's the Joe Abercrombies. I also found another author who I've read before, but it was okay, Adrian Tchaikovsky. So I read Children of Time maybe late last year, and it was quite good. I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't like mind-bending. It was a bit too sci-fi for my tastes. You know, I enjoy a bit of science fiction, enjoy a bit of fantasy, enjoy a bit of horror, enjoy a bit of thrillers, enjoy a bit of just about everything. But it was just a bit over the wrong side. Having read a bit about him since, he studied in zoology, which actually explains a heck of a lot about Children of Time. But I have picked up another two of his books, again both animal related, Dogs of War and Bearhead. Again, charity shop pickups. I think I paid 50p for the two of them, and they look a bit more my type of book. So what have we got? Bearhead. Jimmy Martin is used to smuggling illegal data in his headspace, but this is the first time it started talking to him, and it's claiming to be a bear, a bioform bear named Honey. So that sounds more my thing. So again, don't know when I'll get round to them, but I'm quite looking forward to reading them. Good weather's coming in. Good weather means sitting out in the garden and just churning through little paperbacks like that, and they look like an afternoon's read, to be honest, not much more. So yeah, another two to read, a bit of Adrian Tchaikovsky. Then we move on to wool. by Hugh Howey. Now I was considering reading this when I finished Lonesome Dove, but I didn't because somebody left a note in the comments saying, yeah, read all three at once. I've only got the one, and there's something I want to read now, so I didn't start that one, but I am really looking forward to it. Loved Silo on Apple TV, and apparently the TV programme only covers like the first half of this book, so there's more to be had in there than I got from the TV programme, so really looking forward to reading that one as well. S.A. Cosby, one of Cousin Five's recommendations, Blacktop Wasteland, something a bit different, spoke about it the other day so I won't go on too much more, but looking forward to that one. Donna Tartt, Secret History, say no more, already spoken about it. Flowers for Algernon, Daniel Keyes, supposedly a bit of a classic, so again that's one for the summer, a wee short read, so when I've got a wee spare afternoon or morning I'll be getting stuck into that. Nick Harkaway, Titanium Noir, something a bit different. These are all charity shop pickups. Thought, yeah, let's give that a wee go. Love the cover, looks brilliant, and again it's just a wee quick read, one to get battered through, and it's not even like tight pages, so that'll be good. And Argyle, Ellie Conway, which again spoke about the other day and somebody very helpfully explained exactly what it is. So Ellie and Conway is an amalgamation of two authors that Matthew Vaughn got together to write the novel of the film rather than it being the other way around. So that's one that's just on the pile to pick up and read when I need something to kind of cleanse my palate. Cleanse my palate? Cleanse my palate. There's a certain irony in getting that wrong, isn't there? Right, next up, another two books that I spoke about before. Blake Crouch, we've got Abandon and we've got Upgrade. Again, both charity shop pickups. Upgrade being another wee signed edition. It's amazing what you find in charity shops. If you like collecting books and you stay away from them, don't get in there. Have a dig, have a look. But I've got the two of those, so I was really looking forward to reading Upgrade first. But then I heard that Dark Matter was arriving on Apple TV in the next couple of weeks. I thought, right, well, I need to grab a copy of that. I'm looking for it for a while, but gave up, went and bought it online. Again, £3, something like that. So I've got a copy of Dark Matter, came in the other day, and I am going to start that today. So I'm looking forward to reading that over the next couple of days. Heard many great things about it. Again, it's not a huge book. I mean, 300 odd pages, but pretty spaced print, so it looks like it's quite a quick read. Loved Wayward Pines trilogy. It's the only stuff I've read by Blake Crouch up till now, so that's next on the reading pile. Really looking forward to it. Another one that came up was, I was talking about Lonesome Dove, and somebody said if you're on a bit of a cowboy binge, can't remember the exact words, try Thomas Eidson. And by pure chance I was out in Tesco and there was a wee Thomas Eidson sitting there. I would normally not have picked that up, it doesn't look like something that would do for me, but I thought, well, let's do that. And if I feel like another little bit of westernism, I'm making up words today, before I pick up the next in the series of Lonesome Dove, I think it's the Streets of Laro, I can give that a wee go and see what it looks like. Again, a lot of these are wee skinny easy reads, which I'm delighted to find instead of it being big epics all the time. Mike's book reviews, another shout out for him. His stuff's great. He's reading Streets of Laro at the moment, so I'm curious to see what he thinks of it once he's finished with it, and then I'll decide where to fit that in to read after Lonesome Dove, which I finished a couple of days ago. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic book. I don't know if it's like the best book I've ever read. It would certainly be up in a top 20, but I'd need to scratch my head quite hard to think about exactly where that might fit. I've just finished it, so it always takes a wee bit of time for things to, brew and settle in. Some utterly brutal moments in that book, some utterly beautiful moments in it as well. Characters fantastic, but I'm trying to think how to phrase this. So many books set in historical times, which this is, I mean, the 1880s, 1890s, it's historical times. They have too many characters and affectations from the modern day or when they were written, so the 80s, 90s, 90s, whatever it might be. This doesn't seem to have that. This feels like what people were like back then, and very, very authentic to that. You know, the brutality that people suffered, women especially in this one, all of it feels real. You know, it's got the older guys who are harking back to their golden age, and they can see the differences between then and now, and at the same time that allows you the contrast to where we are now to where the modern types within the story are, and you can see how things progress through. But absolutely brilliant. Totally reminded me of the Yellowstone prequel, 1893, 1883. I can never remember which one it's called, but that one, really, really get the same kind of feeling from it. But yeah, if you haven't read it, give it a go. It's not a wee book, but it was still actually quite a quick read because it just grabs you and takes you on that journey with them as they go. So cannot recommend it enough. Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. But I have spoken about that before. And then when I finished that, like I say, I was going to start reading Wool, but I thought no, after that comment I want to wait and get all three of them, just in case I do finish one and have to read the next one next. I don't want to be tempted to go and spend a fortune on Amazon or whatever just to get a copy of it. I'll wait until I can find them for a better price. So instead I read Chain Gang AllStars. Read it in about a day. Again, it's not a massive book, but yeah, this was something. What's it about? The American penal system. At some point in the future, not the distant future, some point in the future, they've started taking inmates and giving them the opportunity to go into a kind of gladiatorial, be gladiators in a tournament. If they survive 3 years, then they get their freedom. Obviously, there's catches in within that. It's, you know, it's a reality TV program. It follows them in battle. It follows them out of battle, and we kind of join the journey watching that. But then we get our wee sneak insights where they're off camera as well. It feels like if it gets the right exposure and publicity, this is going to be a really important book, like kind of 1984 type book, important thing, if you know what I mean. There's been a few books, films, even music, plays over the years that have spoken about things that potentially could happen, and this is some of the elements of this. I mean, it is fantasy sci-fi, it's violent, it's horrendous, but a lot of it feels like it could happen. But by getting things like this out there, it makes us, the wider masses, the people, aware that there's the potential that there could be people already angling towards this kind of thing. So once we've got that awareness, it makes it less likely for it to be able to happen, because when things start coming up, if something like this is out in the kind of public conscious, then it gives it a chance not to happen. 1984 did that to a point. This reminds me actually quite a lot of RoboCop, the original RoboCop movie. Although it turned into a bit of a toy movie franchise, the original RoboCop was anything but. It was, you know, ultra violent for its time, but the whole point of it was to highlight the potential for that violence to be in society and what would happen when corporations take over law enforcement, which is beginning to happen now, let's be honest. But the way it's structured and phrased is very similar to how this book is written. The thing that really took this up is it's fiction, it's fantasy, it's sci-fi, but the author, whose name I don't want to butcher, Nana Kwame Adjei, he's got lots of little, at the start it feels like kind of Terry Pratchett-esque little snippets. You know, he's got his wee asterisks and and then the wee footnote down below, but what he references is current facts within the American penal system, and, you know, law and order and justice. You know, like slavery, it was abolished way back when, except for it can still be used as part of justice. If somebody is imprisoned, they can be a slave. It states that. It's a bit scary. Tear gas is banned by the whatever convention since about 1928. Can't be used in war. That's illegal. That's a war crime. But it can be used on civilians because it's been given a slightly different branding by certain Western countries, including the US. So, it's a really, really good. It's a great story. The characters are fantastic, frighteningly real. I mean, these feel like real people, every single one of them. It's not about redemption. It's not about reform. It's about the complete and utter lack of reform and redemption. Most people who have done something bad know they have done something bad, and they need the chance and the support to get away from that position, that situation. And this makes it very, very clear that current, probably most of the Western, not just the US, but most Western penal systems, justice systems, don't allow for that. It's big business. It's making somebody an awful lot of money. So why interfere with that when, you know, somebody up there can keep making cash, and the only people that have to suffer are the dogs in the ground below. But yeah, cannot recommend it enough. Like I say, if this gets enough exposure, enough coverage, it could be a really important book, and I'm hoping it is. It's definitely a very modern book as well. The author gets in about all sorts of issues that are very relevant to now and today, but doesn't preach. I said that about Stephen King's Holly. It gets very, very preachy at times. This gets into everything, but it does not shove anything down your throat. It tells the story. It gives you enough background and fact and substance, with great narrative and dialogue, that it gets in there without it having to say this is right, this is wrong. It just tells you how it is, how people feel, how people think, what people will do in any given situation, and it turns it into a cracking read. Only finished it last night. I really wanted to get started last night when I was done on Dark Matter, but I couldn't. I've just had to sit and let this one stew for a little while. Again, I don't know where this would sit in a top 10, top 20, top 100 of all times, but it really entertaining, really scary, not as in a horror scary, but scary that we might not be that far away from this. Made me think a lot about the different, mostly films actually, that have been made around similar subjects, but there's always been a big baddie, you know, let's bring down the big guy and everyone else is free. And this, it doesn't go that way. It's a case of like, this is, you know, it's systemic, it's part of the establishment. You know, all the presidents that have done different things in recent years and in the past that build up to allow something like this to be possible is quite scary. So it's not just one baddie, you know, like the Hunger Games, kill Donald Sutherland and everything will be fine, that type of idea. Death Race 2000, take out the TV company and everything will be fine. You know, it's all of that is by. That makes it clear that it's not something that can be cured or fixed just by killing a baddie, getting rid of one person or one company at the top of it all. It's something that's becoming ingrained in culture and really needs sorted out. And at the same time, much like Lonesome Dove, where it makes you realise just how brutal life could be, especially for women at that time, this gives a hell of an insight into what it's like to be black in America. That's, I mean, this is a major theme throughout it. Again, it doesn't preach, it doesn't say right or wrong, it just states the facts and lets you see these people as they are, and an eye-opener. Again, you see it in the movies, you read it in other books all the time, but this just put it together nicely. So yes, possibly the most important book I will read this year. Who knows, there might be others, but would highly recommend finding a copy. Chain Gang AllStars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. Another Cousin Five's recommendations. I found a wee signed copy of it, so if it does turn out to be what I think it should be, this may actually be worth a few quid in a few years, but I've got absolutely no intention of selling it on anyway. It's one that, some books I like to have on the shelf, so when I see them sitting there, it reminds me, it gets me thinking, you know, back to, wow, that's what that was. The Road is another one like that. Every time I see that, I just, the horrors return. Anyway, that's what I have just finished reading. And as I say, next up is Dark Matter, which I'll get read over the next couple of days and see where that goes. I keep thinking, should I read two books at once? But I don't like doing that. I'll only ever do that if I've got two different places I need to be and have a book for each type thing. Anyway, that is all for today. Too Many Books, episode 2. Half an hour of me talking about books. I pity you and thank you at the same time for watching this far if you have. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us what you think about the ones I've been going through, the books I've been talking about. I'll leave links to a lot of them in the description in case anybody wants to go and dig into them a wee bit further. They're all affiliate links, so you know, if you click on it and you buy something from Amazon, I'll get 10p or whatever. That's great, supports the channel. It means I can go out and buy even more books myself. And the more books I buy, the more books I've got to talk about, the more books I've got to read, and all of these other things. So that's us for now. Thanks again. See you later.